Ready. We get ourselves up into this one. The blue team, once again, M5 BenQ. The red team you're seeing on your screen right here is Taipei Assassins. This is going to be an incredibly epic matchup. It's a best of 3, and the winner of this match, the winner of this best of 3, moves on to the $1 million match, that grand final. We're seeing who's going to win between M5 and TPA. Later today, we see who wins between Azubu, Frost, and Counterlogic Gaming Europe. While that's a rematch, that Frost CLG match, that's a rematch of a tournament just a month ago. These are teams who have never seen each other. And once again, TPA saying they most respect M5 of any team in the world. M5 have come through as a heavy favorite here. There is a lot of questions to be answered here. The last Mandarin-speaking team left in this group. There's a Korean team left there from Asia. But we're about to be whittling down this roster very, very quickly. You're seeing TPA open up pretty defensively. You're seeing M5 as well opening pretty defensively. Neither of these teams looking for early aggression.
It looks like Alex Ich just using that invisibility to his advantage right now, just staying slightly out of range, seeing a glimpse of each of the champions on Taipei's side as they are hovering that top side. Coming into this, they do have that Udyr in the jungle. I usually see an Udyr focusing blue. What do you think they could be proposing with this, just top guard? Do you think they're going to be aggressive from Moscow5, or they're going to go right around to blue?
They could jump there in at any time. This is one of the really difficult things here, is especially, I actually want to look at Shen real quick and see if Stanley has even learned Vorpal Spike, because if he has saved his point, Stanley has saved his first skill point, so they could absolutely give Lil Balls a lizard buff and gank right away, but instead it looks like they are going to go aggressively after all and go for an invade.
Looks like they're coming around at just the right time. That blue buff spawning 5 seconds ago, they are going to push them off of this. Moscow5 kind of conceding here. They're not putting too much pressure. Alex Ich coming around from the backside as well. The top is in. The Dazzler goes down. Too much focus. Little Ball's going to help his team now. Diamond with the flash. Alex Ich in poor positioning. And it looks like Taipei Assassins, although in somewhat of not a solid position, they will be able to just walk this back and forth. They force the flash from Diamond, and that's going to be very good. You're not going to see huge aggression from him, and that'll kind of shut down his presence out of the jungle.
So this is interesting overall. Oh my gosh, Toys actually teleported into the bottom lane to deal with Genja. I have not seen this in quite some time, but they are lane swapping, and it's just like the Koreans play against Casting. They're putting a 2-on-1 in that mid lane. Any sort of melee mage to run the mid lane, especially one without great long-range tools. Like if it's Gragas can 2v1, it's not really that big of a deal, but someone like Evelyn or Kassadin is going to have a really hard time fighting that 2-on-1 there, so that might have been why Tarek got picked up, because once they realized that that Blitzcrank was banned out, they said, you know what, okay, let's go for an aggressive mid lane here. You can't get the same thing with Leona, because Leona must jump on top of you, but with Tarek here, they can shut down Alex. They have a completely free lane for Kog'Maw, so he's going to have gold this entire matchup. This is really, really good.
TPA formulated this perfectly. They went into the jungle and made sure that Moscow5 wasn't in lane. They weren't soaking up experience. Then when they brought these lanes into sight, they did not give Moscow5 enough time to react, so they're going to have to stick with what they have for now until they can really have to go back or are forced out of lane. So TPA with a very great strat mentally right now.
And yeah, I think they hope to actually give that Golem buff away to Toys at the beginning. They know Udyr can jungle without that kind of buff, but Toys wants that mana to survive the lane. At the same time, they're pushing up for a gank.
And this is what you get out of a squishy AP carry going down for first blood for Moscow5.
That is the perfect play right there. That is exactly what they need to do, is they know he's got a bit of a weak matchup. They got Diamond around the jungle fast enough that he did show up for that gank. That's a really, really great play. Even got the blue steal as part of it. That's really good counter-strat orchestration here by M5 BenQ. Alex still with a bad lane, only 2 minion kills. You've got to remember that. That's a very big disadvantage, but at the same time, it's still risky for it's still difficult for both these teams this early game.
So you see Udyr coming out to middle. Looks like he could try to get some help on Little Balls, showing some presence, going back into the jungle. They had that ward on Wraiths, so he could retime it, actually putting another one down. Diamond with both buffs, making his way through the jungle. Gosu joining in mid, so Alex can get a little bit easier of a time here. We see Mistake's hand is raised, and we're going to get him fixed up, and probably just pointing out a few things with his headphones. Could have a little bit of a sound issue, but these guys right now with that lane swap, you saw Karthus go down, and I'd say Vayne is a pretty good counter to that. You can condemn him away if he's getting close. You can just dive away from the lay waste. That's going to be, like you said, said, a fed lane for that.
It's difficult on both sides. It's interesting. So as far as the lane goes, you're absolutely right. That Genji's going to have a really good time fighting Karthus one-on-one. She's got Tumble to dodge lay away. She's got Contend to push him back. Yeah. In general, she should be pretty safe. The difficulty, though, is that he's not worried about the lane too much. He's just trying to farm and survive, and as long as M5 doesn't keep showing up, he'll be okay. The difficulty for Vayne actually is team fights. Yes, she can condemn him back, and that makes it a little bit nice, but if she's ever to fight, she will be in range for Wall of Pain, she will be in range for Layways, and she's almost definitely going to be in range for Defile, especially if you played Suicide Karthus, who just runs into the front and tries to soak up hits and tries to just, get you in range for everything. You've got to sort of realize, like, even if Genja has a really good team fight and Karthus dies, he's got to realize, okay, well, do I stay in Defile and keep team fighting and hope to out-lifesteal it, or do I get zoned for 7 seconds, get forced out of the battle because of Defile and because of Lay Waste, and come back later? Leaving 7 seconds for BB to fight people as Kog'Maw is really, really scary. So Genja in a bit of a tricky spot. I think that's actually why partially TPA waited so long to pick their mage, is they were trying to see what was going to come out from M5. When it's Vayne that comes out, Karthus is a really, really good pick here, and actually can really screw with her early mid game. When we used to see Kennen be more popular, we saw Kennen as a counterpick to Vayne because that's slicing Maelstrom the same way. Right. If Vayne is to fight at all, she's going to be in range of slicing Maelstrom. And if she's to fight at all here, she's going to be in range of Defile and Lay Waste.
That could be very tough for them. They have that oriented team that wants to get into the fight. They have Xin. They have Nunu that's going to have to get in there to ult, if anything, to slow people down with that Ice Blast as well. And you just have a team that wants to get in. So they're going to have to, at some point, leave him to himself. So he's got to be careful.
And this is interesting, too, because, while both teams are a bit late-game oriented, TPA's lineup is all about kind of getting in and sticking to it. They've got hardcore initiation. Udyr cannot kite at all. He's just simply got to go all in. Shen goes all in. Kog'Maw's going to fire from the back, and that's fine, but, Karthus and all these guys are going to kind of just go in and just kind of go for the push and fight hard and stick in that battle. That's kind of how TPA is going to get into those fights, and that really plays, again, to their advantage because they will try to push out, Vayne and things like that. M5's lineup is much more they've got the hardcore initiation, but it's very much about burst damage. We saw this synergy in the very first game where it was Xin Zhao on top of Evelynn. Xin Zhao does a percentage of your current health with Crescent Sweep. It's going to hit everyone for a lot of damage. Evelynn's going to hit everyone with her ultimate for a percentage of their maximum health. So at the very start of the fight, if TPA is not positioned well and their team is melee heavy, it's aggression to the fight, it's get close together, they can all get hit by those ultimates and all get shrunk down to half health the second the fight starts. That is a scary place to be in. We just saw that first team comp, 3 of them dealing percentage max health damage, right? Again, Xin Zhao, Evelynn, and Kog'Maw. Well, now Xin Zhao, Evelynn, and Vayne, all of them will continue to keep scaling with the game for free. Again, it's a late game team composition, a lot of burst damage at the beginning, and it's just kind of held in the back by a late game carry who will keep killing people off. So you're going to look for these fights to be, you're going to look basically to the first 4 seconds of the fight, where is M5's initiation good? Did Alex get free roam? Did Genja get free roam? If yes to either of those, great. They're going to be in pretty good shape for the fight overall. TP has to go all in their persistent damage. If they actually catch someone with their all in, with Shen into Udyr into Taric, that person should die. They've got so much persistent damage with Karthus, with Kog'Maw, and even with just like Shen and Udyr kind of punching things in the face, they can kill someone in those 5 seconds. So, does M5 get the right initiation, burst someone down, disengage the right target, have him re-enter, or does TPA catch that one target, kill the one guy, and then move on onto a 5v4? That's really the sort of make or break point on these team fights.
He takes it into his own hands, and I think really the person to watch for this, and when it gets into the initiation, is Alex Ich. Really makes Eve into a hard initiator for what it's worth. We saw him diving Kid completely within 5 members of Invictus Gaming during their games to set up and start the fights, pretty much from it was a requiem hitting somebody. You saw the life disappear. Alex would take so many cooldowns, and then he would flash out of the fight. And that's what you're talking about, Free, because if TPA cannot use those first cooldowns right, can get those sustained hits in, they're going to get bursted out of the fight. So we're going to watch for Alex Ich to really come in here and start these out. It's going to be scary, though. You have Taunt, Dazzle, and Bear Stance. So if they don't get those fights right, as you said, it's going to be pretty torturous. We should see this coming into late game. Alex does not like to fight. We saw him going down to Cassiopeia on Zatai quite a bit in the Invictus game. He was just having trouble in lane. Here, seems like he's actually doing a little bit better in the start. And the mids have dodged back and forth. Obviously, he does have that double support in mid with him, so he won't be going against Karthus in the orthodox middle AP carry gameplay. So we'll have to see if Alex can really get himself formidable enough to do the initiations he did in that last game, because that Eve was really a factor for any of the team fights to begin.
This is actually, and she is a huge factor. And you're absolutely right. You know, Alex is going to be a huge playmaker for this M5 lineup. But it's different here. What TPA's done, again, despite the Karthus dying, of course, that's a little bit harsh. It's a lot of free gold for Genja and that kind of, actually, you know, Genja got some. Actually, the first blood went to Gosu Pepper. But the really difficult thing here, though, is Alex will scale with gold much more than that top lane than Darien would. You know, the first game where Darien was stuck in a 1v2 had a very abysmal early game as Xin Zhao, or he was in the 1v1 and had a very rough early game as Olaf. They weren't relying on him for the composition. That wasn't really him. You know, he wasn't the linchpin of the strategy. Right. In this, when you've got an AP Evelyn, that is a linchpin. She needs to get that burst on. They don't have the safe damage output. Vayne is catchable. You know, Diamond being on Xin Zhao as a jungler means he's not going to get a lot of gold. He's not going to hyperscale. It's not the same as getting a soul in Xin Zhao. He doesn't have the option of buying Yomu's in a Bloodthirster or a Trinity Force or things like that and really scale himself up. He won't have that. He'll have Wriggles. He might have an Aegis. And that's going to be most of the items you're going to see. He'll kind of stop at Wriggles Aegis and try to go from there, but you're not going to see that build stretch much more. And you look at Darien. Darien's on Yorick. Yorick is not a hard carry. Yorick is there as, you know, a sort of half support, very brutal laner, but he's against Shen. He's not going to shut down Shen. Shen's got free sustain. He's got a shield. You know, that lane matchup is not great for M5 there either. It really is on Alex to join Genja on top of piles of gold. You know, Alex needs to become Scrooge McDuck and actually get those coins in his pockets because he does need to support and be another damage threat here. I don't think they can rely on just Genja here.
You know, Freakin', it may come into play here. Jat was talking about it within the last game of when they switch up the lanes, becomes very easy, and some people forget that other people are going to show up in the jungle that much sooner. So you'll see, you know, especially there's a Karthus on the map. A lot of people will forget that, and even when you're playing with them, they'll go in for a very hard fight in the tower dive and then forget Karthus is on the map. And those little things are going to give the other team increments to get ahead and ahead. And we'll have to see if this mid lane swap, we haven't really seen too much invading other than that level 1. Since those two are in mid, I think the buff control is kind of just going to be left to each team. And these dragon fights are going to be very big in the early game.
Dragon's going to be a huge deal for M5 because as soon as we get to the mid game where the lanes start hitting level 6, TPA has like the ultimate dive comp ever, where they're going to try to leave Karthus alone and let him sit in his lane and just farm up, and I think he's going to be reasonably safe. What they're going to look for is getting BB farmed, and as a side benefit, shutting down Alex Ish on Evelyn. That's really the goal here. You know, the way a jungler really works, I was talking with Dan about, you know, the role of a jungler, and he was saying that you know, a jungler is there to put your team ahead. It's there to push forward, kind of amplify a teammate. You don't gank as a jungler to shut someone down so much. I mean, of course, you move them from lane, they get a little bit behind, but you gank to get someone ahead. You gank for a teammate, not against an opponent. That's really how you think about jungling, is it really is there to bolster your teammates. And the fortunate thing here is I think they really, really want to gank to bolster BB. He is the major carry here on Kog'Maw. He will be the most receptive to gaining gold because he needs to make sure that he has enough you know, levels and items and whatnot to withstand Alex's burst and withstand Diamond's burst. If you can do those, he's good to go, smooth sailing. He can just solo Xin Zhao, withstand the burst from Evelyn, and just be fine, right? He's going to have a great time. The secondary benefit, though, is that lane right now, it actually will be a gank on Alex Ich on Evelyn. And yes, again, removing someone from a lane will, you know, stop them getting a little bit of gold. It will stop them getting a little bit of experience. It will slow him down quite a bit. And those intersect very, very, very well. And the problem is, you know, for M5 really, is Diamond will love to counter gank. And he will. He'll do a really good job of showing up and supporting Alex, supporting Ghost Pepper, trying to shut down BB. But here's the issue. TPA has Stanley on Shen, and they've got toys on Karthus. So as long as they gank that mid lane, they send the jungler in, the support's already there, they're going to have 5 members participating every single time they go mid. The Global from Requiem, the Global Stand United from Shen, they're all going to be there. TPA can bring 5 people to a fight every 3 minutes. And they should. Every time those spells are up, they should go back to mid and crush Alex's hopes and dreams. If they can rinse and repeat that, they're going to have a really, really good time of this. What M5 has done is they've brought Goose Pepper to the mid lane. They've sent Nunu as a support to Alex, which is a little bit harsh because now he's going to get less experience having to share that lane. But I don't think that Nunu's necessarily enough to keep that really happening. That I think really TPA has has a lot of keys here in this early mid-game. They can just push through, you know, ignore the first blood. Toys is going to be okay. His flash is still up. He's going to scale throughout. He'll get that Rod of Ages, sustain in lane. If he's really stuck in a 1v1, it's not going to be that big of a deal, and I think he's going to survive this overall.
You know, Freak, something we haven't brought to point as well is, even if that late game starts to go in favor of Moscow5, you have the double teleport, the Stand United and the Karthus teleport. So even if Requiem is coming from across the map, he's going to be in your face. We're now back into the game after everything is situated. 1-0 here. 4 minutes and 43 seconds on that, and I'm a liar. Call me a liar. This guy right here. So we are going to just take that a quick second. It looks like he liked it at first. There's a monitor and mouse that they're just kind of working out here. So once he gets that situated, we all know that stuff's not working right. You don't want to go any further. You want to get it situated. So as we were saying, that teleport strategy that could be used, it just adds to the versatility of the composition that they do have good initiation to start, Stand United, that Wall of Pain, and then the teleport in if Karthus has to Requiem from across the map to start. So that late game could be denied a little bit. Well, let's look at the matchup between the King and Queen of hyper late game carry. That Kog'Maw versus Vayne. Now, a Vayne can be very scary and can definitely outplay a Kog'Maw. Stun him against the wall, that fight's over. But Kog'Maw has the upper hand from the start.
Yeah, so the thing is here that Vayne really has the best dueling of the AD carries. She's got the condemn against the wall you just mentioned, the invisibility, the all the damage. She is absolutely right, the queen of AD carries, and it's great that she's a great duelist as well, because she is right now dueling up against Karthus, and she'll be able to play that matchup correctly and completely dominate that one. Now Kog'Maw, I think he's got a bit of a better lane there. He's supported with the Taric, and that was actually a pick for the lane more so than just sort of the team comp. So that ended up working out as a shutdown. And yeah, he should have an easy time of this one, and he will, I think, in general, outscale unless assassins get too big. So Vayne can tumble and go invisible for a second and push someone back. That's her safety net. It's decent. It's there. She can kind of keep herself a bit safer. Kog'Maw does not have that. Kog'Maw just has range. But Diamond can reach that as Xin Zhao. Alex can reach that as Evelynn. So you've got a very weird mismatch here where there's no assassin there for Genja. Genja shouldn't be under much pressure. Yes, Karthus will be painful, but if he has the lifesteal and the positioning on Vayne to survive it, then Vayne is untouched and Vayne will continue to fight. It's really on Alex and Diamond. It's a different matchup here, right? Because Genja is going to be on himself. You know, can you dodge? Can you play well? Okay, Genja, then you're fine if you're good enough. But it's on Diamond and Alex for gold, really, right? Yeah. Do they get farmed enough? Do they get the damage? Can they shut down Kog? And if they can, there's not as many options here for BB. He can cleanse a slow, but that's about it.
All right, guys. So I'm pretty sure we asked you to ask us questions. LOL Worlds is the hashtag, and you guys did. So we're going to answer a few of those right now as the players get themselves situated and we get this underway. So as your social questions come in, we will be sure to get those answered. It's going to be Bobby Ray 25 on Twitter. He's saying, Freak and Riv, do you feel the metagame of each region will merge into a world meta?
Well, it's interesting because there's actually different approaches on each side. So Dan was talking about, you know, how a lot of the Asian teams play, where they'll prepare their own individual strategies and rehearse them and get them very prepared and kind of go for it. And the Asians in general seem to be very aggressive. They're a little bit M5-esque. And so what I was thinking, you know, as a point was that, you know, these guys don't. You know, these guys haven't played M5 almost ever. They rarely leave their region. M5's kind of an enigma, but they've got a lot of great teams to practice against. And you know, the only European teams that most of these Asian teams have seen is CLG.EU, who plays so different from M5. But realistically, those Asian teams actually just play very similarly. It's aggressive. It's a lot of counter juggling. It's a lot of early movements and great team fight presence overall. Even in this tournament, though, we've got different strats. CLG.EU is late game focused, and the only team that really does that, them and CLG.NA, where they avoid team fights early on and then try to win at the 35-minute mark. Now, I think that you know, teams will keep their own strategies.
And guys, I believe we are now jumping back into the game. We do see the lane movement going around, so let's get the action back underway here. 5 minutes into the matchup. We are in that bit of a top lane here. It is 5,300 gold to 5,600 gold. You can see Stanley and Darian just kind of duking it out. Stanley preemptively shielding up to make sure he dodges that ghoul damage. Darian just pushing out his mana from that bar. Stanley will have a little bit better time in this lane, but like we said, Freak, that is not a fight lane. Those guys are not going to take each other down. Alex Ish being pressured very hard in mid here. As you see, Gosu Pepper is still forced to go around the map. He is still making sure his lanes are okay, and that's going to be bottom. from Genja as well.
Alex.
Huge damage there. Nice dazzle. BB taking a turret shot. This is the pressure here. This is the stranglehold suffocation that Taipei Assassins wants to throw on. Nunu can't always stay middle. He still wants to support Vayne. That's going to become a tough lane. Genja's not too hurt right now, and he's actually farming just as well as we see Toys. The flash, the initiation, the dazzle goes down, but he flashes out perfectly. Diamond coming in to deter this attack, and they also waste the summoner exhaust there. One attack from Alex. You can see him always doing the little bit amount of damage, getting the upper hand as much as they can.
And that was really, really good. Diamond knew that was a prime counter. It was a prime gank attempt right there. Was waiting in the wings, immediately jumped on, put on the crowd control, and a great move. 2 flashes used to try to jump on Alex. Alex, the 1 flash of himself, got himself out. Really, really good plays. But I want to talk about this top lane a little bit. Stanley's making some cool moves. Whenever a ghoul chases after him, if he can do it, he actually runs into the brush and forces the ghoul to stop and actually hit minions instead. So you'll see when the lane is actually more neutral right here, Stanley will jump to the brush to kind of deter those kind of moves, and it allows him to push back to his turret. That's a really good move to do against Yorick to keep that lane kind of in your favor. But you're seeing that matchup still much better for Shen. He's winning in minions, and he'll continue to do well. And now being the first to level 6 as well means he can really support these gank attempts and really just snowball his side lanes ahead. You won't see Karthus get tower dive nearly as easily again.
So not usually seeing the Dorans on a jungler. Xin going for that first. Diamond feels like he just wants lane presence to get out here and wants to be a little bit more tanky. You can see him going down towards bottom lane or into the blue brush. He doesn't see that Karthus is there. And you are going to get some invasion here into the jungle. Just a ward from Diamond. That was his only one. He was backing previously, so we may see him go back to buy. Gosu joining again with even mid. That Blood Boil on. Not going to assist too powerfully much, but obviously help her get out of some sticky situations, especially with Dazzle. And you can see it, Little Ball's doing the exact same thing, pretty much just mirroring what we saw Diamond Prox do, heading around, warding the jungle, making sure every one of the bushes is clear, and we can see they're getting quite aggressive here. The roam comes in from the jungler and support. This is the benefit of having those guys in mid, but like I said, there will be others there. Little Balls may have forgot that right away, and here comes the Stand United into the fight. This means that Stanley, or rather, it's going to be Darian now having quite a fun top lane freak. But, as I said before, they weren't controlling objectives. They go and take it.
And that was a really orchestrated move. We talked in the pregame about M5 having team-based counter jungling. Well, they actually sent Karthus all the way from bottom lane to walk over saying, we're going to steal the blue. We have the numbers advantage. We know we will outfight an underfarmed Evelynn. We know we will outfight them. We've got Stand United. They simply walked over, and M5 knew it. M5 knew they had complete control, did not even contest anything. Now, they had waited in the brush. They knew they couldn't win the fight, but they knew they could at least burn Stand United. And so they burned one of those not summoners, but one of those very long cooldown ultimates. It's a very, very big move there.
So we're seeing great defense from Moscow5, Ben Q in mid. Usually you see the AD carry support switch coming in to really drop a lane as soon as possible and push that person around for the roam. But they've really swapped the lanes just back to normal. That kill going to Genja. They're saying, Vayne, could we start to get a little strong? We see Gosu coming in. They go for a mistake, however. The dazzle goes out into Xin. The 3 talent has not popped him up yet. The crowd control is great, but there is the teleport as well. Stand United is not going to come in this fight, so they are faced with the amount of champions from TPA they have here, and they're still forced to back up. Very low mana and health coming into that fight, and a scene, Little Balls right here, seeing LHH as he's forced to run in the bush. That ward gives him a bit of vision, and there's the speed buff steroid coming in for Alex to get out safely. TPA now grabs their own blue buff, but Alex sits on the wing to try and take this one away. Pressure coming in as well from Diamond. They do have that ward. They do not get the steal on it. Goes to Little Balls.
And that bottom lane fight really should have gone in M5's favor. There's 2 rules really of fighting in general. Number 1 is if you're on a 2-on-2, you always attack the AD carry, because if you don't attack him, he'll attack you back and he'll win that fight. And that was the rule that Genja was following. You saw him jump up and try to focus down BB's Kog'Maw. The problem was that wasn't a 2-on-2, it was a 3-on-2. It was a free kill completely. And the team focused on the mistake. They exhausted the mistake. They stunned mistake. And Genja went for the entire other champion. If he landed 3 attacks on a mistake, that would have been a kill on the Terror Core. At the very least, forcing his flash out. But that's not what they did. They completely did not go for him. And they would have been 300 gold for Genja without a doubt if he went for the right target.
So we see 10 minutes coming into the game. The pressure not so much causing falters, but a little bit of miscommunication there. We did see 10,900 gold to 10,400. Very, very close in the economy situation. And it is 1 kill in favor of Moscow5. We saw them grab that. It did go over to Gosu, rather. in middle, but we got 2 assists on it. That's going to be going to Diamond as well as Genja. So 2 good people to get that money early in the game. And we can see Genja quickly not just going for straight damage, but trying to really scale that W up with the Zeal right off the bat.
And that's really how you kind of play as Vayne, is you've got a lot of base damage because of Silver Bolts and Tumble and all that. And so what you're really trying to go for is just speed. It's getting into fights, you know, engaging and disengaging. She's a little bit short range because she doesn't have those long range poke tools like Kog'Maw does. And so she's going to kind of keep setting herself up and get into and out of fights as fast as possible.
Ward clearing going on now, coming from Little Balls, double buff on that Udyr. The lane is pushed up quite a bit, but they know that Ward was just taken out. He shows himself bottom. This is going to give some help. This is a perfect chance to counter. Now that he is gone, he's going to walk away quite a bit. We see him coming back here. Diamond's going to know that procced him to just stay. Little Balls is still very much so interested in this fight. Diamond has backed, so still Moscow5 must be careful. Great job, Gosu Pepper using the mentality to act as just a live ward in the bush to keep Genja safe.
And right now you're seeing the sort of matchup for TPA is that I think they're happy to kind of scale throughout this game. And I think they want to keep putting pressure on Alex and get a lot of gold up there and keep him from farming. I think this is the one time you would actually gank to shut someone down because they don't want to give Alex Evelyn those roam opportunities because you know, he's at the level now being level 8 really where he can actually shove minion waves out. You just saw him do that now, and he's going to roam around the map and look for an opportunity. If they can keep Alex down and burn his spells, he can't do that.
We see quite low health going into a fight. They initiate down bottom. A beautiful job there. They called in to stand united for the fight. Diamond procs coming in very big. He charges in to get the kill. Alex coming up with that one onto Kog'Maw. BB trying to blast out the true damage. And we are going to find Mistake on the chase. Stanley is quite hurt as well. Darian coming down to assist the fight. This is going to be huge for Moscow5 if they can continue to micro themselves out of the damage. Little Balls is left by himself. His voice flashes away. The triple kill for Moscow5. Darian coming up huge. 4 altogether.
Can you believe that? That roam coming through, and of course, it is complete control for Dragon. They could even go to mid if they wanted to pick up another turret, but I think they're going to recall back instead. They know if they're low on health, they could get counter-pushed instead, so you're going to see Darian come back, walk to that top lane. You're going to see Genja just kind of get his health back up, life-stealing that whole bottom lane, but what a good opening there. The move down from Darian to show up to that fight in time. The Ghoul's putting out so much damage. That was amazing. You see that TPA lineup really trying to use their ultimates for the engage to make that happen. Let's watch a replay and see just what those moves were. Darian, really the MVP in that fight.
Пока что. Дарьян, давай, пизди их. Хорош, хорош, Дарьян.
Удира лучше. Удира.
Будет за медлом, будет.
Давай, хорош. Дракона.
Хорош,
Давай,
Дарьян.
барашка.
There you have it. Such a strong fight coming from Moscow5, and they really controlled it from the beginning. It was an amazing thought by Taipei Assassins. The initiation from everywhere but the lane itself. The Requiem comes in. The Stand United comes on. And the only real initiation you see from bottom lane is a few steps forward so Shen can get that taunt off. Everything worked perfectly, but kudos to Moscow5's bottom lane for getting out just an inch in time.
And that's really, there's two things to point out there as well. Is the one is you look at how well sort of coordinated M5BenQ is. The only one even talking in that fight is Alex. Everyone else knows their jobs exactly. No one else to talk. No one has to say anything because they all know each other so well. That roster is so stable that it's clear, it's concise, and it's just Alex saying, "Here's where we're going." Okay. Darian, cast this. Guys, go in here. And he's just the mastermind making all those calls. And that's the first team I've really seen play like that. Well, you know, a lot of them will just yell for every kill. If you listen to, like, CLG, actually, if you listen to Curse's sort of in-game chat, you can't hear anything. I've tried.
Aggression here on Genja, and he gets stunned up twice. A very nice job from Dazzle into Bear. And he gets pushed out of lane here. This is going to be big. Taipei needs to get some ground in these lanes.
And this is the difficulty, though, is they just try their major engage using all their main cooldowns. So they're coming back the next 30 seconds, that's a big deal. But if you saw how CLG.EU did it, is they actually counter-engaged with Requiem. They actually let the fights come to them and then turn them around. Now, I think TPA should put the aggression on. I think they have the team for it. But that's really the difference here, is that if you're kind of going in with those spells, it's much harder to turn those fights around.
See the blue buff going out. Alex grabs it away. Doesn't even have smite. 15 minutes in the game. Gosu Pepper goes down for this. So kind of a back and forth there. You did lose a champion. It's going to be a kill coming up, I believe, for Bebe there, or BB rather, so he's going to be getting himself some gold. Both the AD carries kind of building up the same way as Kog'Maw, that cheaper build as well, coming in with the Zeal, able to use that W Bio-Arcane Barrage percentage health damage that you're always going to be doing. However, that only comes up every so often, so you'll see him trying to get himself within range in the fight. Coming up from the backside, here's the assassination up until mid-game. Alex doesn't want to fight, but there you can see just how aggressive he is once he gets the chance.
Once again, it's going to be how he plays that matchup. He is an assassin against a mage with not a lot of defensive escape tools. It's going to be kind of over and over that kind of story. And now next time, Stand United will not be back up. Alex Ish on Evelyn only has 45 seconds to go until that ult is back up. Meanwhile, it's more like 2.5 minutes here for Stanley on Shen, and that is a mismatch that M5 is going to need to do. You heard Jat during the WE CLG match where he was saying that you know, they've got to put those windows in between Karthus.
The teleport coming in, Toys now coming out as well, and here the Wall of Pain takes down Gosu. The Wall of Pain is down. Genja's going to be able to run out, and he just continues to lose his support. Obviously, he's happy to not go down, but that is going to continuously feed that bottom lane.
That's exactly fine, and every single time, you know, it's a 3-on-2. You don't need to focus the carry. Do not get caught up in the fact that kills are for shutdowns. Kills are for golds. In a team fight, kills are for shutdowns. You don't want them fighting you. But as far as ganks are concerned, ganks are there to just give yourself and your teammates 300 gold and split that 58% assist gold with everyone else who's in that fight. That's what it's for. It's there to get Toys farmed, because he knows that mid lane, it's risky. Alex has his ult back up. Now, he's got no ignite, but he's going to have enough damage here, Sorcerer's Shoes, and a lot of extra ability power to keep putting that pressure and really make life super, super miserable here for Toys.
For Freak, I think this is one of the times like we've seen either of these teams not start dictating fights, you know, before towers have gone down. They're staying in their lanes. There's been only ganks. Usually we see a huge tower dive coming in. Genja face checking the bush as they go in without any vision, and it's going to be huge. The Requiem comes down onto Genja. They give mistake against the wall, but he's forced to dash away. Beautiful job knowing he could do the damage there as he dazzled mistakes, or he rather condemned mistakes so he could not dazzle, and got some extra damage. And these guys really playing their mechanics to the top of their limit. 8 kills into this game. It's 5-3 in favor of M5 BenQ as they continue their aggression. There's really no snowball to either team. About of a 3K gold lead here. Genja once again stunned up. They can't get inside for Bear Stance. His flash was up, and that could have been a considerable kill for them.
That was really risky overall. You just see Genja kind of playing this matchup by the skin of his teeth right there, using Summoner Heal to bait out the flash from BB. And as soon as he came in there, he was like, Summoner Heal, fight me. And BB was like, no, we're good, thanks. And just simply backed off from that one. But that's kind of the gameplay you're going to see from M5. They're going to fight these very sort of neck-and-neck, tooth-and-nail battles that are just extremely close overall. And the way they're going to really tip is if Alex gets to finally roam. He's not been able to run into these matchups very much. He's been fighting his lane opponent, stalking Toys here in the jungle. This could be good for him.
Toys not really catching him there. Huge damage coming out from Alex Ish. Will he flash over for the kill? And it looks like he may be able to get Landmass Q out. He lands it, makes it out alive.
Alex playing that one right. Again, he's got the Deathfire Grasp picked up there. It's exactly what he wanted to do, was simply turn those around and just assassinate Toys. And you look at Toys' build, he's got those flat magic resist, he's got the Rod of Ages, but he needs more. He needs some actual magic resist. Normally you see Rabbidan's Death Gap come out next, but right now he needs a Negatron Cloak. He needs to not get one-shotted by Alex in lane, because that will keep happening every time.
Oh, BB not looking so good right here, but the Condemn just going off a little bit, and it pushes him towards his turret. That's not really going to be an initiation here for TPA. Good damage coming out, however, from BB. He did get that BF sword. He knew he needed damage versus the Silver Bolts of Vayne. That right into Phantom Dancer was not going to work for them, although would help to shred those tanky champions coming in. And there it is, the initiation onto Genja, the Ice Blast to BB so he can't attack, just back and forth. Great job down bottom, but TPA continuing the aggression as well, so great job from them.
And there is a lot of poke potential there. Anytime Dazzle lands, BB is guaranteed to land that the arcane, the ultimate there, the living artillery as it's called, to get some free harass down. Last time I thought he would have landed that for a couple hundred damage right there. There's not a lot of sustain overall on Genja. You see, two sort of builds there from Vayne. One of the main ones is rushing Bloodthirster, and that lifesteal would really keep Genja alive. But as you're seeing here, as he fights the Lizard Buff, there's not a lot of lifesteal for him. He's just got those 2 Doran's Blades, so that poke will stick around quite a bit onto Vayne. They should keep that pressure going.
A few of the turrets now pretty hurt for Moscow 5. meaning those prep turrets could really mean a lot after an objective fight here if it can be forced by Taipei Assassins in the right formation. They will be able to push that mid turret. Don't know how hurt that top turret is. It's actually still got some health. You can see Darien doing very well in his lane. Now Genja and Gosu Pepper trying to defend theirs as well. Is not too hurt, so they have a good lane going down bottom. A lane that can both get Genja farmed as well as keep Gosu somewhat alive. He's gone down quite a bit for his team this game. The only one to have the 3 kills on that board, and that's the person they want dying if somebody's going to go down. So they've done it in the correct fashion if it were to happen.
Mistake just waiting around, trying to find Gosu Pepper out. The ultimates are at both Requiem and Stand United. TPA is going to look for another fight as Evelyn comes from the back. Expect all ults to be burned. TPA, they could be okay. Actually, Lowball's waiting around. If they go in, he's going to be in good shape.
Yeah, that teleport's just coming up for TPA Toys. Here we go to onto BB. So much damage. He tries to cleanse. He looks like he's going to make it out of this one. Just on the outside of Gosu's absolute zero. They do a ton of damage. TPA cannot stay in the fight with the amount coming out from Genja. He is just able to focus whoever he wants from the backside. And you can see Diamond creating such a frontline presence.
Wow, so much damage was available there. I can't believe that turned as easily as it did. With Stanley there, Lowball's there, everyone there to tank, it just did not matter. They just completely burned through Tarek's health bar, no matter what. Happy to kill support, happy to bring everyone's health bar down and simply make the fight happen. Darien did not have to be involved whatsoever, and they still won that in a 4v4.
Slowing down Toys. No, they do not choose to initiate. There's too much turret damage to be had. They played that one smart. Toys as well, trying to keep himself safe here with Little Balls. They're going to have to watch this turret go down. The first turret of the game, 22 minutes in. I think that may be the longest time it's taken for our turrets to fall. Moscow5, BenQ, and Taipei Assassins playing a very cautious semifinal matchup.
Yeah, they really do not want to overextend, because if someone does move in a little bit too far, there is so much chase potential on both sides. I mean, you look at the M5 lineup. If someone overextends, they've got Vayne with Blood Boil, who will chase that guy to the ends of the earth. You've got so much flow coming out from Nunu and from York together that no one's going to get away if they overextend. Meanwhile, the same thing is there for TPA. Shen, Tarek, Udyr, that person is going to get completely locked upon, just locked down really, and then everyone else is going to fire upon him, and Karthus and Kog'Maw will have a lot of damage on the front line. Both these teams are about just enough disruption, about having just enough disruption that the back line can just shred people down. So you're seeing more ganks than turret pushes, because turret pushes can be countered, but ganks, they kind of they have more of those questions answered and can kind of push through a little bit more safely.
So Freak, let's take a look at these builds. We do see that Stanley is going for possible late game Frozen Mallet, but switched over to go for that Wit's End to stop the damage coming in from Eve. Usually you'll see that tanky top laner take the role of, well, as I just said, the tank, but we look over to Darien's side. He's gone for Triforce. Nobody on their team is really building to be that single tank. Is their amount of power really allowing them? But Alex, he's coming in huge right here on the top turret. It has been prepped to be taken down, but his focus is only Stanley coming up with the kill and able to make it out. 8-3. Alex again providing for himself.
And just over and over, he's got a safe lane, just turns it around to gold.
Here comes the absolute zero. Big damage on Mistake. It procs. Another shot could come in. He might leave this one to Diamond. Mistake is not the focus anymore. Little Balls gets taken down as he tries to come in. Darien picking that one up. And again, they'll get another one. It's going to be Mistake as well. Here comes Toys. Toys could get dropped. The heal coming out. If he can turn and fire, they may be able to stop it, but there's no mana. It's only going to be Toys having his way with bottom lane now. The 4 for 1. Alex stays alive.
He is just having a field day here, constantly pushing through on this map. They're making a lot of difficulties here. Alex is not getting shut down. He rushed that Deathfire Grasp. He used it to great effect, picking up kills on Toys, I think twice in a row now, just kind of soloing him out in that lane and making a lot of pressure happen overall, and he's been able to roam. He's been able to show up to those fights. The kills at bottom lane where they picked up Mistake and put some pressure on the turret right after. The pressure of that top lane, diving Stanley, pretty tanky Shen under his turret, and it's interesting because that's like the one downside you would expect to see from Shen going double gold per 10 is he would have a bit of a weak mid game as he waits for that gold to kick in, and just would you know it, Alex shows up and capitalizes on that disadvantage. We're seeing a complete repeat of his first Evelyn game, I should say, and just picking up kill after kill on the opposition.
And a huge item coming out from Darien here. Actually just picked up his Guardian Angel. Always focusing his ult onto somebody else now. Doesn't even have to worry about himself. Is really taking that top lane. 209 minion kills to 137. And as I said before, Freak, he's had such a good lane, he's not even needing to build the HP for that lane. You can see, as we were saying and poking at before, Shen having to go for Wit's End for the magic mitigation, as well as that phase to build into the Frozen Mallet later for that health. What's the advantage of just having Darien not have to do that? It's always damage coming from that lane.
It's interesting because I guess, because he got this early kill, he's able to push forward. Rushing that Trinity Force allowed him to really be a huge menace overall in battles. It let him out-duel Stanley, pretty much. It let him to kind of stop counter-pushes.
See the wall of pain going down, and you can see the confidence coming from Moscow5. They are waltzing through this fight right now. Taipei Assassins with Darien on the outside. 4v1 right now. Darien taking all the hits. The Guardian Angel not even popped. We see Alex Ace going into the middle of the fight. Mistake could go down here. He will fall to Genja. We see coming up huge. Vivi onto Alex. The area of effect damage not going to be coming out for them anymore, and they are forced out of this fight. GPA using the turret to their advantage here. A good kill coming out from Darien as he takes down Little Balls, but the chase is on. BB does have that blue buff. He just decides to turn, though, as both teams just go in an all-out fight regardless of the area around them or the situation of the turret.
This is one thing that M5 is best at overall, is they are so supremely good at getting in a fight just long enough. If you actually just sat there watching Darien the entire time, and it's like, yes, I'm in the front line, fight me, I'm Guardian Angel Yorick, fight me, I dare you, keep, go for it. Pop the Guardian Angel, don't mind if I do, fight me, do all the damage, haha, we killed your carries, and then got low enough and just walked right out. His Guardian Angel is going to recharge over time. That cooldown's going to come back up. I think he might, and he had the self-control to say, yes, I will happily lose my Guardian Angel. You will tunnel vision me, and you will kill the very tanky Yorick. Next fight, I won't be quite as reckless. I'll get down to 10%, and I'll walk out. I'll ult someone, I'll walk out. It won't be a big deal. No big worries here from Darien. He's going to have that kind of gameplay where he's going to be very comfortable in his own skin, knows that there's no surprises really in store, right? No one's going to pick him out of nowhere. He knows the kind of damage BB's putting out. He knows how much damage Kog'Maw can deal. He knows what toys can deal. He knows, yeah, okay, you've got Requiem, that's nice, but then no one else is going to chase him out. So he can walk out of those fights so securely and just tank damage. And because he has Trinity Force, because he has those duels, he will actually be a pretty reasonable damage threat by picking up that Triforce. It gives him just enough presence to say, yes, here's the damage output that you actually care about. If I go for a squishy, he'll actually take damage. You must actually deal with me, even though you don't want to. Even though I'm Guardian Angel Yorick, you must deal with me. You must focus me and push me out.
Yeah, Freak, that's something actually we talked about with Dan Din earlier, and how Moscow5 BenQ approaches fights. They leave a few that can take the area of effect cooldowns away, causing the other team to only have pinpoint focus attacks. That's when they go in. They leave a few people to take away some area of effect, another few, they go into the fight. We saw that happen. You just explained. Darien, I'll take all the damage. Alex Ish flashed right into the fight. Both of those were wasting so many cooldowns while staying alive and able to trade back. This has brought them now 13-6. They have an over 10,000 gold lead just about, and it's going to be 28 minutes into the matchup. This spells Baron.
And M5 going to make a good move for this. I think they're more trying to bait a battle out here. They were trying to sneak it because they only sent 3 members there. They wanted to try to put some damage in. They had ward coverage. They did get back out pretty safely. But Alex on the flank.
Alex is coming in from behind. This is what we said he would do. He goes away from Toys. You can see him just blowing all the cooldowns. They've separated from the fight. Genja as well, or Vivi rather. Vivi trying to come in with that passive. The Requiem goes down, and it's not going to be enough damage. Genja more than happy to stay in the fight. Fires down on Little Balls. Mistake is in his eyes next. Gets the double kill, the triple kill. No, Alex is picking up Shen, and they're going to have an open turret for that first inhibitor in mid, but it looks like they're making a straight beeline for Baron.
That is the right play. Once again, they had simply separated the champions perfectly. You saw Diamond kind of go in and out against Toys and Arthas, and it simply kind of required him to stand there out of range of anyone else. It was perfect positioning. It's a free push onto Baron, of course. There's no one else alive. They don't need to wait around for Darien to revive. It's not that big of a deal. They'll simply pick up the buff, pick up the golden experience, lock themselves back out very safely. They've got time to recall. Not a big deal. This replay is coming out. Let's see exactly what went down. See, now watch Diamond. He comes in, knocks up Toys, walks back out. Toys cannot do anything in this fight. He's simply unable to deal much damage. Finally just shut down. Still not in range of anyone. Now watch Darien at the bottom. Genja. Genja's got no one to focus him. Easy kill on Little Balls. No one there to touch Vayne. Walks up. Mistake. Not a problem. Stanley, the last one alive on Shen. They focus the targets. And they focus the carries properly. BB went down first. Toys went down second. Little Balls went down third. And then mistaken Stanley the Tanks went down last. They had exact perfect target prioritization. Alex flanked around the back, bursted Toys, prevented Toys from getting himself in the middle of the fray. And Genja, playing his champion right, said, yes, if I'm stuck near a Karthus, it will suck, so I won't be anywhere near Karthus, thank you very much. We'll kill BB, I'll come from around the side. You guys deal with Karthus, I'll kill things on the other side of the map.
Team Guardian Angel now coming into play for M5 Ben Q. They are starting to sort those around. It looks like Diamond is trying to get his up there quite soon as well. He does have the chain vest. They have pushed TPA back into their base. Moscow5 now controls the team fights within this game. Genja, Gosu Pepper, and Diamond still holding that Baron buff. Very strong in their own rights. With Darian on the front side, the Guardian Angel just about to come back up for him in about 5 seconds. This is why he's pushing the turret so hard. If it comes back in this fight, it's going to be huge. There's so much focus on him, and they're not going to see it come back up. BB going down, has to cleanse out of this one. Toys is just standing there doing so much damage. It doesn't look like the focus is that right for Moscow5, but they're avoiding all the damage that they need to. An ace coming out for them, a triple kill coming out for Genja. And it looks like they may be able to push on to the Nexus turrets in this one. They have a lot of tank behind their champions. Diamond and Gosu on the front. The first Nexus turret goes down 23-7, 31 minutes into the game. That's all Moscow5 needed for game 1 as they take it from TPA.
What a perfect play right there. That was amazing. M5 Ben Q, the assassin composition did what it was supposed to do. It exactly did what they wanted. And this, you know, it worked out better than I thought it would. And in retrospect, of course it makes sense. You look at what Diamond did on Xin Zhao. And this was a champion with this comp that was on Darian before. And Darian, when he was top lane of Xin Zhao, had a bad start, went Sunfire Cape, you know, tried to be a tank and just sort of survive for the team.
Right.
And Alex had the gold. Alex, you know, had the Deathfire Grasp, he put all the damage down, he was there to shut down Cogma. Well, you had the same kind of situation, really, where you had, you know, a decent game from Diamond, 2-0 and 15. He got some gold, not super farmed, but
right.
Again, if you have tank Xin Zhao, and he did enough damage, you know, low gold Xin Zhao really has the same damage because you didn't buy damage items the first time, so he actually performed the exact same role. Jumped in there, pressed Crescent Sweep, got some armor and MR for pressing that button, dealing a lot of damage, and just went through and tried to focus down on Cog. And Alex, again, a similarly rough start to his early game, got a lot of damage taken to him, you know, very, very rough start, but still pick up Deathfire Grasp, still dominant through the mid game, still a stellar performance going 5-1 and 10, performed the exact same role. I made sure I watched Kog'Maw in that last fight, and BB, he didn't make any mistakes. He was in the back line, he hit who he could, but the front line of
jumped super
Guardian
hard.
Yorick, like Diamond super farmed, you know, in the end, or at least super tanky.
Yeah.
Gosu Pepper on Nunu, like, what's he going to focus? There's nothing there to even attack. Even a Guardian Angel was there on Evelyn. Like, there's nothing for him to kill. He swung as much as he could. Nothing took enough damage. Burst from Evelyn, burst from Xin Zhao, ran backwards, took another set of damage to the face. You actually saw Yorick flash into him to land more abilities, and then he dropped.
Yeah.
And there's nothing there for him to survive. Now you could say that Stanley could have used Stand United at some point there on Shen. That would have given him a couple more seconds to survive. But by that point, everyone else was already still dead. That front line was tanky enough. It was brutal. Let's watch that last fight. And actually this time, I'm going to watch Genja and see what he did to keep himself alive.